Oh, perfect. Let's see. To our February 23rd meeting. And our first item, we'll just jump right into it, is approval of the meeting minutes from January 19th. So I'll open it up for someone to make that motion in a second.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes. Jeff Euler.
Okay, Jeff Euler with the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Great. And then just to keep it easy, if you could just type a yes in the chat box or a no based on the vote you'd like to cast. We'll give that a moment to populate in the chat.
That Mike Mathis on the second.
Correct.
Go ahead and type it in the chat quick. We'll let a few come in. Got a few votes. They're all yes so far. So it looks like that passes in the affirmative there. So we'll jump to item number 2, the Transportation Improvement Program business, and we'll turn that to you, Ben.
Thank you, Bob. So our first item that we have an opportunity to discuss before you is a board modification to the Transportation Improvement Program. This will actually be part of the 4th board modification to the 2022-2027 TIP since it was last approved last August. Let's see here if I can. I got too many items on my screen here. Let me start at this board modification. So as you're all aware, February typically is a challenging month for air quality along the Wasatch Front, and we generally see the haze in the air, and we hope for snow to clear the skies, and public transit is part of the solution to offset the pollution and help improve our air quality. In an effort led by several elected officials and supported by numerous local governments, partner government agencies, and private businesses, UTA, as you are all aware, I hope, has offered the free fare February. That's where all the fares will be free in February across the entire service area on all UTA buses and rail service, including ski bus and paratransit and UTA on demand. That's what brings us into this board modification. So as staff, near the end of last year and the early part of this year, staff was directed to identify a way in which the Wasatch Front Regional Council could support this effort. As staff went to work, we were going through the regulations and all the responsibilities. We coordinated with Federal Highways and the department and UTA, and what we came up with, or the direction that was identified, was years ago, you'll recall, in fact, it was back in 2016 when we first brought this particular project to light with the Technical Advisory Committee. It was in 2017. The funds were first recommended for this. This is the locomotive overhaul on the prime mover engines. This is to improve to a tier 2+ emission standards by EPA standards. And this would improve all air quality. For this particular project, both in the Salt Lake and West Valley urban area and the Ogden-Layton urban area, went through all the evaluation processes and was partially funded. Partially funded meaning that we didn't have sufficient funds in the CMAQ funds to support the full request. This on an average is about 400, 500,000 per prime mover. There's 18 locomotives. And so the Wasatch Front, from the recommendations through the technical advisory committees and then up through the regional council, approved a portion of those funds, and then that required UTA to step forward with a substantial amount of local funding to meet the shortfall on this project. So this project now has been underway now for a couple of years. And this will upgrade the engines so that we're getting a much better air quality along the Wasatch Front. In fact, a significant benefit to the air quality. Well, as we reviewed, it was a recommendation that we take 500,000, that was the amount that we were challenged to bring forward, that we recommend 500,000 to go towards the UTA locomotive overhaul project. And that would supplant some of UTA's overmatch. So 500,000 that UTA had set aside for the locomotive overhauls would be removed from that project and moved towards the Free Fare February initiative. And so the proposal here before the committee is to add an additional 175,000 of CMAQ funds to the UTA locomotive overhaul project. Any questions on that board modification? Okay, Bob, I think it's back to you for.
So we're looking for a motion, right, Ben, on this to vote it up or down, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, we're open for a motion, so feel free to unmute and make that if you feel inclined. We've got from Paul Larson, a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second it.
So we've got a second from Steve Parkinson. So once again, if that's acceptable, we can do that in the chat, and we can easily have a record of the yeses and nos there. So this is you know, the minutes are kind of a consent item, but this one I think we'll want to give a minute here to populate all the votes here.
Steve, sorry. Nice. Bob, just for the record, I see about 35 participants. I don't know how many of those are voting members.
Yeah, and so far, I think we're about a dozen yeses, and it's still counting. We're going to give it a little more time, see how many votes we can get in. But so far, it's all affirmative. Last chance, anybody else? I'm assuming that all those who have votes to cast and who wanted to cast them have had the opportunity. So we will close the voting, and Ben, that passes. So.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, everybody. Can I move on to the next one then, Bob?
Of course, yes, please.
All right, perfect. So hopefully everybody has received a copy. It was attached to your meeting appointments, but also I believe Rosie, you can attach that into the chat. And I want to show you quickly. So it's a list of all the projects that we have for evaluation. And we're going to go through all these real quick in a roadshow type effort here, but I want to just walk you through a couple of things on each of the tables. So the first tables that we'll look at is the CMAQ program. And so you got the Ogden-Layton CMAQ 1, 2, 3, all the way down here through number 8. You can see that it's identified by, of course, we're in region 1, the county that the project's identified, the city, the agency. Sometimes it might be if it was the UDOT or UTA in a particular city where this project is located, name of the project, the from and the to, the length of the project, the estimated project cost, federal funds that are being requested, and then the local funds or the match, and then the project description and the priority that the project is to the sponsor if they submitted multiple projects. How this project would rank amongst those projects. Something that you need to be familiar with is these projects that have been graded out have been removed from the CMAQ evaluation. They're still part of the evaluation, but they've been removed from the CMAQ process, these particular projects. The emissions benefits were low enough that it wouldn't be beneficial to take the time and the effort to go through the evaluation in the CMAQ program. So if there's no questions, well, real quick, so you've got the CMAQ is the first page, then you've got the STP projects, that's the next 3 pages. And then we have the TAP project, which is the last page. So we'll start as we're going through. I'm going to just fly through each of the projects. There will be a little pause as we have to change slideshows. But just so you're aware there, if you've got your soda or your treats or whatever you want to do and enjoy the slideshow. So the very first project that's on the list of the CMAQ tables, starting with CMAQ tables, is a project in Clinton City. This is on 1500 West. This is the right turn lane. I'll correct that spelling there, but it's not really a turn lane. It's a turn lane. This is an intersection improvement. This is on 1750 North, 1800 North. This is for a dedicated turning movement here. The estimated project cost is $859,000 plus the funds being requested are a little more than $800,000. The next project is a project in Layton City. This Case Creek Trail pedestrian overpass. This is a bicycle and pedestrian facility. This is located here. It's so the intermodal parking there, or the commuter rail parking. This is a bridge that will go over the Union Pacific and the front runner rail lines. Estimated project cost is $6 million. The funds being requested is $3.6 million. The next project is a project in West Point. This is an intersection project on 4500 West and 300 North. It's a roundabout. It is to take this offset intersection and construct a roundabout facility. The estimated project cost is $1.3+ million, and the funds being requested is $1.2+ million. The next project is a project in Ogden City. This is an expansion on the bike share program. This will enhance and expand the green bike program in the Ogden-Layton urban area, downtown Ogden. Their first implementation of this program will go in this summer or spring and summer. But the estimated project cost for this expansion is $760,000 plus. Funds being requested is a little more than $700,000. The last project in the CMAQ evaluate or list of projects is a UTA project. This is UTA on-demand expansion. Some of you might have heard about this program. It's taken place in the southwest quadrant of Salt Lake City. It's kind of a micro transit system. This particular zone or area that we're looking at, you can see the square mile, about 47 plus square miles in the area. It's about 77,000 people this would address. Anyway, to implement this project, the estimated cost is $7.5+ million. Funds being requested are just under $7 million. Those are the projects being evaluated for the CMAQ program. Any questions on any of those? I should point out that the purpose for this, so this month, let me get this next slide opening up here. When I hear that little bing, it reminds me back in the days when Tinkerbell would ring her little bell like this, and you'd know it was time to change the page. So the purpose or the intent of our meeting today, and I apologize for not bringing this out, is this body, the Technical Advisory Committee here in the Ogden-Layton urban area, is responsible for recommending what projects to move into the draft programs. Now, in March is when we have that meeting where we will come with a preliminary staff recommendation of all the projects, the funding levels, and what we would think makes the best program, but we bring that to you to initiate the conversation. Then it's the Technical Advisory Committee that reviews that information and makes recommendation to TransCom, which is a Transportation Coordinating Committee for the Regional Council, as to what projects they should recommend in that particular program, whether it's the CMAG program, the Surface Transportation or STP program, or the TAP program. And so our intent here in February, and we know that there's a lot of information, our intent here is just to give you a real quick kind of a heads up. These are the projects. These presentations then we will put online so that you can access them. You can even open them up for a family evening there. You can show all your family how awesome these projects are. But you can review them during the course of now until we meet in March so that you have an understanding of the projects. And then when we go through and that recommendation comes from this body, the intent is to get the best project for the amount of funds that are available. So that's the purpose of our meeting today. So we went through the CMAC projects.
Tim,
Yes,
before you move on, so do you have some information like for those CMAC projects, how many there were, the total dollars requested and the total dollars available? I guess we just took out 500,000 of the total available.
well, we took out 175,000. But the remaining part of that 500 will come from the Salt Lake urban area. No, I do not have the numbers for the amount being requested and the available amount of funds. We don't know yet until we wait until March, because there's obligations and over obligations and de-obligations taking place. So we want to have a pretty good figure down.
Do we have a
So that
ballpark figure,
information,
though?
what's that?
Do we have a ballpark figure for what's
No,
available?
not right now. Not yet. We can send that out maybe with the minutes.
Okay.
So the next programs in the STP program, the first project then is a project up in Brigham City. This is on 12th West. This is a widening project between 600 North to Industrial Way, about 7/10 of a mile in length. Project estimated cost is 8.8 plus million. The funds being requested is 6.5 plus million. The next project is a project also in Brigham City. This is on 12th West. This is widening with some new construction. This is from Forest Street going south to 400 South, about a little more than 7/10 of a mile. This project is estimated at 6.4 plus million, and the funds being requested is at 5.6 plus million. The next project is also in Brigham City. This is also on 12th West. This is a project going north from Forest Street to Industrial Way, about 3/10 of a mile. Estimated project cost is 2.4 plus million. The funds being requested is 1.6 plus million. The next project is a project in Perry City. This is 1100 West. This is a roadway connection to 1200 West. This is a new construction, essentially from 1100 South to 1600 South, or just under 4/10 of a mile in improvements. This is a project that'll realign and improve the connectivity or develop the connectivity there on 12th West to 1100 South. This project estimated cost is a little more than 5 million, and the funds being requested is 4.5+ million. The next project is phase 1 of improvements to 12th West. This is a widening project from 1600 South going south to 2250 South, about a half a mile in length. The estimated project cost of this is 5.4+ million. The funds being requested is 4.9+ million. The next project is the multi-use trail. This is a project request from UTA. This is on the abandoned Utah-Idaho Central Rail Corridor between 8700 South in Box Elder County to the Willard City boundary. So it's about 2 3/4 mile in length. This is to design. This particular facility, estimated project cost is 200,000. Funds being requested is 186,000. The next project is a project in Centerville. This is a reconstruction project on 400 East between 100 South to Porter Lane, about a 1/4 mile in length. This project estimated cost is 1.4+ million. The funds being requested is a little more than $1 million. Next project is another one in Clinton City. This is on 1300 North and 1500 West. This is to reconstruct with some minor widening. This project will go from 1285 West to 1750 North. It's about 0.6+ of a mile. Project estimated cost is 3.8+ million. The funds being requested are $3 million. The next project is a project in Farmington City. This is on SR 106 or 200 East. This is to reconstruct with some minor widening. This project will go between Glover's Lane to Lund Lane, almost 0.9 of a mile in length. The project estimated cost is 2.8+ million. Funds being requested is 2.6+ million. The next project is a project in Layton. This is the Layton Front Runner Station traffic signal. It's an operational improvement there on Main Street, east side of the future parking structure to the west side, excuse me, in the Front Runner Station. Estimated project cost is 380,000. Funds being requested is slightly over 300,000. The next project is a project in North Salt Lake. This is on Center Street. This is minor widening with active transportation components. This will go between Foxborough Drive to Jordan River Trail, about 0.6 of a mile. Estimated project cost is 689,000 plus, and the funds being requested is 585,000 plus. The next project is a project. So this was one of the projects that was taken out of the CMAQ program. This is for surface street variable message signs. This is from UDOT's TOC. This is to add ATMS or ITS signs there on SR 193 on the west side of I-15 and on the east side of I-15 for traffic, so that they understand or are aware of what the traffic's like on I-15, so they can go an alternate route if necessary. Project estimated cost is 600,000. Funds being requested is 559,000 plus. The next project is also a request from the UDOT TOC. This is on I-84. This is for freeway variable message signs. This is to install the VMS signs west of US 89. Estimated project cost is 750,000. The funds being requested is just under 700,000. The next project is in South Weber City. This is on Compwood roadway. This is a reconstruct with minor widening between I-84 to Weber River Bridge crossing. A little more than a half mile in length. Project estimated cost is 2.4 plus million. Funds being requested is 2.1 plus million. The next project is a project in West Bountiful. This project on 1100 West. This is roadway improvements with minor widening to construct curb, gutter, and sidewalk and make a uniform cross section between 200 North to 400 North. Estimated project cost is a little more than $1 million, and the funds being requested is 657,000 plus. Next project is in Woods Cross. This is also on 1100 West. This is to reconstruct with minor widening between 2185 South to 1100 North or 2600 South, just under a half mile in length. This is to construct uniform cross section with curb, gutter, and sidewalk. Estimated project cost is 3.9 plus million. Funds being requested is 3 million. Next project is in Ogden City. This is a reconstruct and minor widening on 2nd Street between Washington Boulevard and Monroe Boulevard, about 0.8 of a mile in length. This project estimated cost is 6.8 million, and the funds being requested is 5.2 plus million. The next project is also in Ogden City. This is on 25th Street and 4400 South. Both these facilities are part of the BRT route. It's to reconstruct both of these facilities. So on 25th Street, it goes between Jefferson Avenue and Harrison Boulevard. And on 4400 South, it goes from McKay to Harrison Boulevard, total in about 0.9 of a mile. Project estimated cost is slightly over $9 million. The funds being requested is 4.4 plus million. The next project is in Weber County. This Ogden City request. This is on D Avenue. This is a new construction between 24th Street to Exchange Road. It's just under a quarter mile in length. This will open up a neighborhood and give them access. Project estimated cost is a little more than $6 million, and the funds being requested is $4.8 million. Are we tracking all right with the sheet? We all good? Great. Okay, the next project is UTA request. This is in Ogden. This is their Mount Ogden facility expansion to expand the existing bus facility that's currently there. The project estimated cost is 3.7 plus million dollars, and the funds being requested is $3 million. The next project is also a request from UTA. This is the front runner right-of-way preservation. This is for corridor preservation between 12th Street to the Weber County border. It's about 7 miles in length. That land is developing quickly. This will preserve that corridor for the expansion of the commuter rail. Project estimated cost is 11.3 plus million. Funds being requested is 5 million. The next project is from UDOT TOC. This is also for surface street variable message signs. This is on SR 39, westbound, east of I-15, and on SR 39, eastbound, west of I-15. This just under a half mile in this area where they will implement these various variable message signs. Sorry, project estimated cost, 600,000. Funds being requested is 559,000 plus. Next project is in Plain City. This is on 1975 North. This is to reconstruct with minor widening This facility between 2700 West to 3600 West, it's about 1.5 miles to take a narrow 2-lane facility to a uniform 3-lane facility with curb gutter and sidewalk. Estimated project cost is 5.1 plus million. Funds being requested is 4.8 plus million. Next project is a Weber County project. This is on 12th Street. This is a reconstruct with minor widening from 100,000 or 10,000 west to 7,100 west, 3.48 miles. Estimated project cost is 26 plus million dollars. Funds being requested is 15.7 plus million. The next project is also in Weber County. This is on 2550 South. This is reconstruct and have some minor widening between 3,500 West and 4,300 West. This facility or improvements will be 1 mile in length. Project estimated cost is 12.4 plus million. Funds being requested is 6.7 plus million. The next project is also in Weber County. This is on 3,300 South. This is reconstruct with minor widening between 3,300 West and 4,700 West, about 1 3/4 mile in length. This will take a narrow 2-lane facility and construct with shoulders, curb gutter, and sidewalk. Project estimated cost is 17 million plus. Funds being requested is 15.5 plus million. The next project is a project in West Haven City. This is on 1,800 South to 1,900 West. This is new construction. This particular corridor from 1,900 West to 2050 West. It's to realign 1,800 South and install a signal at the location. Actually, the department will install the signal. The city needs to realign the facility. Project estimated cost is 1.6 plus million. Funds being requested is 1.1 plus million. And the last STP project is also in West Haven City. This is a corridor between 3,300, 3,600 South. This is new construction between 3,500 West and 2,700 West, a little more than 1 mile in length. Project estimated cost is 15 plus million. Funds being requested is slightly over 14 million. So that's all the STP projects. Were we going too slow, too fast?
Ben, can I ask well, I'll ask my questions at the end.
All right, you're welcome to if you have a question, Jeff.
Well, let me just ask that before you move on to this next thing. So that Layton front runner traffic signal,
Yes,
we fully funded that through our third quarter project money. So I don't know if that's something we need to talk about offline after this meeting. And then also on 1,100 West in West Bountiful and Woods Cross, we funded that as well, although I don't know that we fully funded that.
awesome, Jeff. Maybe afterwards we'll coordinate and I'll get what limits on the projects and which projects, and then we'll pull that off before we bring the information back to the committee in March.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, are we all right to go on to the TAP program?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Okay. This first project is a project we just saw in the STP. This is for the design of the multi-use trail along the abandoned Utah-Idaho Central Rail Corridor, the request from UTA.
Are you trying to share your screen?
Not seeing your screen yet, Ben.
Huh. I'm glad you warned me there. Let's see here. Let's try this again. How's that?
You see it now. Thanks.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so this first project then is one that we saw in the STP program. This is a request from ETA for the design of the multi-use trail along the Utah-Idaho Central Rail Corridor. Estimated project cost is $200,000. The funds being requested is $186,000 plus. The next project is a project in Bountiful City. This is on Bountiful Boulevard. This is for lane striping of bicycle lanes between Sunset Way and 1300 East, just under 5 miles in length. Estimated project cost is $33,000. Funds being requested is $29,000. The next project is a project in Centerville. This is on 1250 West. This is a multi-use trail between Parish Lane to 1275 North, about 0.8 of a mile in length. Project estimated cost is $956,000 plus, and the funds being requested is $891,000 plus. The next project is in Layton City. This is on 3200 West. This is a Safe Routes to School project between 650 North to West Hillfield Road. Project estimated cost is $166,000 plus. Funds being requested is $81,000 plus. The next project is in North Salt Lake. This is a sidewalk connection project. There's 3 sections of sidewalk between 7500 North and 965 North. Total length together is about 1/10 of a mile, a little more than 1/10 of a mile. Project estimated cost is $283,000 plus. Funds being requested is $226,000 plus. The next project is in South Weber. This is on the Weber River Parkway Trailhead connection. This is phase 2, which would go between US 89 crossing to the Weber Canyon Trailhead, about 0.6 of a mile plus. Project estimated cost is $474,000, and the funds being requested is $325,000 plus. The next project is the Weber River Parkway Trailhead Connection Phase 3. This is for also capital improvements. This segment would be between Compwood Drive to US 89, a little more than 0.4 of a mile in length. Project estimated cost is $499,000 plus. Funds being requested is $318,000 plus. The next project is also in Weber, South Weber. This is the Weber River Parkway Trail Connection 4 between the north side of I-84 and the west of Weber River Crossing, a little more than 0.6 of a mile in length. Project cost is $459,000 plus. Funds being requested is $312,000 plus. And the next project is also South Weber. This is the Weber River Parkway Trailhead Connection. This is phase 5. This would be the end of phase 3 to the end of phase 4. Little more than a mile in length. Project estimated cost is $814,000 plus. Funds being requested is $642,000 plus. And the last TAP project that we have is a project in Plain City. This is on 1500 North sidewalk, safe routes to school. It's capital improvements between 4825 West to 4920 West, just under 0.2 of a mile in length. Project estimated cost is $128,000 plus, and the funds being requested is $102,000 plus. That's all of the projects that we have for our evaluation this year. These slideshows then will be made available on our website, probably by tomorrow, so that you can pull them up and dig down in. There is more information that's attached to each of the slides. So they'll be in a PowerPoint format so that we can include the notes that are with the project. Are there any questions? Perfect. Thanks, Bob.
All right, thank you, Ben. And item number 3, it looks like this is for Wayne. So we'll turn the time over there to Wayne if you're ready.
Thanks, Bob. I'll just share my screen here. Can everyone see that all right?
Yes.
Yes. Great. So we wanted to just share some information. As most of you are aware, a new federal reauthorization became law in November, referred to by different names. One name is the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. But just wanted to share a bit of information about some of the competitive funding programs that local governments, UDOT, UTA, most of these are available to apply to for any public agency. I'm just going to cover some brief information on half a dozen of them. And I'm not an expert by any means, but we can hopefully provide enough information to pique your interest, and you can decide whether you want to pursue any of this funding, national funding through discretionary grant programs. So I'll briefly review the amount of funding available, types of eligible projects, and the rest of this information as shown to the extent we were able to track it down. So the first one is commonly referred to as RAISE. This is an expansion of what used to be started out as the Tiger program several years ago, and then was the Build program. It's now the RAISE program, about $1.5 billion available in federal dollars nationwide each year over the next 5 years. And projects are intended to have local and or regional impact. And you can see some of the selection criteria here focused on safety, climate, equity, economic competitiveness. The notice of funding opportunity was released in January, and the due date for applications is April 14th this spring. You can see some minimum grant sizes here. That's the federal dollar amount minimums per project. And there is a 20% local match required in addition to the federal dollars. Next program is referred to as MEGA. Because of the size of the grants, you can see large, extremely large minimum grant sizes here, and selection criteria are due to be posted soon. Infra is also an expansion of an existing or prior program at $1.6 billion a year. The focus for this program is highway and rail improvements of regional significance, 5 million minimum, only up to a 60% federal share. You can, if you have other federal funding sources, that can take you up to 80% of the total project cost. But if that's not an option, if other federal sources are not an option, then there's a limit of 60% federal share. And notice of funding opportunity is expected next month. Safe streets and roads for all. This is exclusively for local governments with the intent to fund improvements to reduce fatalities and serious injuries, especially for cyclists and pedestrians. Applications are not likely to become available for a couple more months. 40% of this funding is available for planning, and in fact, 40% of it has to be used for planning, such as developing a comprehensive safety action plan, and all activities, planning, design, and other development activities are eligible if the particular project is identified in a comprehensive safety action plan. So again, this is exclusively for local governments. Another grant opportunity, discretionary grant opportunity, is charging and fueling infrastructure. You can see some information here. Notably, 50% of this is specified to go to community grant programs where priority is given to rural areas or low and moderate income neighborhoods. And lastly, rural surface transportation grant program to improve and expand surface transportation infrastructure in rural areas with a focus on increasing connectivity, improving safety and reliability, and economic growth, and expecting the notice of funding opportunity for that next month. And within that program, if you consider a small project to be less than 25 million, which they do for this program, then there's up to 40 million a year across the nation to compete for smaller projects within this program. Some key points about applying. We're a resource. While we're not equipped to help you write the or write the grant submittal, we are happy to help you gather more information about the program, even to the point of getting you in touch with people who can help guide you and walk you through the application process. It's important to note that there's a process of registering through grants.gov even before you can submit the application. So there is an extensive process between, I don't know how extensive the registration process is, but between the registration process and the application process, it's quite a process, but perhaps with the large amount of funding available, that makes sense. There's also encouragement on the U.S. Department of Transportation website to make sure to apply at least a week or submit your application at least a week before the due date, so that in case technical issues arise in getting the application delivered, you've got a bit of time to work that out. And I'll note that there are numerous other grants available Many of those have to do with energy improvements for sustainability, energy sustainability, and also broadband improvements. And so here, this is already on our website, I believe, but some information or some links to additional information for a few of these programs. So with that, any questions on these discretionary grant or competitive grant funding programs? All right, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Wayne. That was great. More opportunities there to pursue, and we'll move on to item number 4, other business. There's just a couple of items there. The second one is about March meeting discussion. I believe this is in regards to, do we continue with Zoom or do we go back to meeting in person? So I'll be thinking about that a little bit. But first we have updated TAC meeting schedule. Ben, did you have a little info on this as far as what's being proposed?
I did, and I totally just closed my window there. So what it is the assignments, it's just to give a heads up. And we've had, like this meeting, we canceled the having the local government give the presentation because we wanted to focus more around the projects being submitted. So we've kind of bumped them back. So Fruit Heights will give our next presentation, and that just moves everyone down. So if you were planning and preparing your presentation, plan on the next following month. We bumped you down. That's about it, Bob.
And so you say Fruit Heights is next, but I imagine that would be April, because in March we'll revisit these projects, right?
Correct, I believe.
And maybe you or Rosie or someone could just send that out again. I know I might have missed that along the way, the schedule. So
We will do that. Actually, we've asked Fruit Heights to go ahead and present in March, just to give us a little. And then if we are in person, then there's refreshments, but that'll lead us into our next conversation, Bob.
yeah, so let's go into that. So I would just open the floor if a few people have opinions, whether you want to put that in the chat or unmute and share something. Don't take too long. Just let us know if you have a preference. If it seems a little bit on the fence, maybe we'll have to do a straw poll in the chat and see where we fall. So I'll open that up. Any opinions on in-person versus online? So we have a couple of votes on the chat for in-person. We're up to 3 there. So I'm assuming a lot of people are neutral. Could go either way, but we've got a few people. Oh, we got a few votes for online as well. And I think, Ben, you said you and the Wasatch Front crew are fine either way.
Yeah, so March is, maybe out of all our meetings, March is probably is a critical meeting for us to be able to have that ability to converse one with another. We don't know if Zoom kind of restricts that opportunity for comments and interaction and the ability to feel like you matter, that we want everyone to be involved in this as we make recommendations. I couldn't give you the exact numbers like Kip was alluding to, and we'll get that info to you, but we'll probably be programming about 35 to 40 million, and that's important. Well, I guess a portion of that's including the Salt Lake urban area too, but and they may want to have a voice in their part. But for you guys here, as you're participating, or we could do a hybrid meeting that's been discussed, but we have facilities here at our office we're real close to the commuter rail. You can see the North Temple out my window out here. It's where the commuter rail stops. But we've got the ability to have everyone so they have a mic and that we can see, everyone can see and be a part of the meeting. Our biggest fear is on a hybrid meeting is not having enough to be able to hear everybody, to participate and feel like you're part of the meeting. So if we do a hybrid type meeting, I would like to recommend then that we hold the meeting here at our office. And then there's that, we've got the ability there with technology to be able to host that properly. But I would put that out for your information and your direction, Bob.
Well, it looks like just going through the comments, that it's pretty split, although a few more people wanted in person. And it sounds like with your recommendation that maybe we should try meeting in person in March. We can see how that goes. Maybe after we take care of the business with these applications, we could consider going back. I guess maybe that's another question for everyone. You know, if we do hybrid, but we need to go a little bit further to Salt Lake, does that hurt the attendance? Maybe that doesn't matter since online will still be an option. So we could go either way. So maybe that's the way we go in March, if you're comfortable hosting there at your facility, and we'll see how it goes, and then we can adjust from there. So that's what I would suggest right now as I look at these comments that have come through. So unless there's any strong disagreements there, maybe we go that way.
Then we'll provide the refreshments through Hyde, so you won't need to worry about bringing them on the train.
Well, that alone should be worth it, right? So, well, let's plan that way. Let us know if there's any problems with scheduling that, and we can adjust accordingly. But if there's nothing else, then that would wrap things up. Is there anything else that needs to be mentioned? The next meeting looks like it's scheduled for March 30th. So we'll see you all then.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, everybody.